All right, we'll get started here. So this is quiz 2 review session. So I thought we'd open up with one of the questions first, and that is, how can you tell whether this article is open or paywalled? So everybody did fantastic on that one. You all got the right answer on this, which is there's the little icon. Let's see if I can get my mouse over here. Right here, that's got that unlocked padlock and it says open access. So it's marked very visibly that this is open and available to everyone. We talked about open access versus paywalls in this module, and when we talk about a paywall, that can mean anything that prevents someone from accessing that information. So this example right here is something called hard paywall, and that means you have to pay money or belong to an institution that pays money to access this. An example of a soft paywall would be something like you can register for an account and you get 3 free articles a month, but after that, then you have to pay more money. So how about this one? Can you tell whether this one is open, this book chapter is open or paywalled? All right, again, you all are amazing. And you got the indicator right here that, yeah, you have to pay for access in some way, so this is not open access. Now, we talked in the module about how to get around these paywalls. Some of them are location-based, like using Google Scholar or an extension or an application called like Paywall, for example, or using the sign-in link through, oh, now I'm going to forget it. Oh, I'm going to look that up. It's a lovely service that allows you to seamlessly log into all the library resources that are paywalled. And that's going to bother me now because I'm not going to remember it. Some of the other things that we talked about related to paywalls and access are that algorithmic bias. And these were just mainly reminders that, hey, you don't always have to log into an account, or you could use a dummy account when you're searching, because this algorithmic bias will affect what you're seeing when you're doing searches in different places. You can also use multiple search engines in multiple places. We highly encourage that all the time. Or use a VPN, which is a virtual private network. All right, shifting topics. We're going to go into how we search some of these locations that we talked about in this module. So if you wanted to use quick search to find information on virtual reality, which one of these would you use? Virtual or reality, virtual reality in quotation marks, or virtual not reality? All right, again, you guys are so amazing. You knew that virtual reality in these quotation marks is going to return both of these words together in that order. If you had linked it with or, you get both of these terms, but not necessarily in this order. So you might get virtual spaces or virtual meetings. You might get reality in a different context as well. And then for C, if you had done not reality, you would be excluding one of the terms that you really did want to include. As a refresher, our Boolean terms, our Boolean operators that we use when we're searching all these different locations we talked about in Module 2, and is going to narrow your search results, and it's going to make the database think, okay, when I return something, any result is going to have both this term and this term. Whatever one is on either side of the and, all of my search results have to have both. If only textbook is in it, I can't return it. Now, or will give you more, because you can have both things on either side of the or just one of them. And then again, not is going to exclude certain elements from your search. So this is if you have a phrase or a keyword or key term that might have multiple meanings and you only are interested in one of those meanings. All right, our next one, if you wanted to do a search on technology, but you've got some of those multiple definitions coming up and you're not interested in definitions, how might you plug that into quick search then, based on what we said about Boolean operators? How can you exclude all of the definitions? Boop. Look at you go. Yep. You're going to throw in that not, and that will take out anything that says technology is defined as X, Y, and Z. Now, if you are struggling with this, which many of you are not, you're doing wonderfully. If you just want to review or more practice, don't forget we've got this knowledge check in our module on multiple pages, and we have lots of different interactives. This is the one in particular for your Boolean operators, and you can utilize that to practice for this exam, as well as quiz 3, which we're going to expand on some of those Boolean operators and use them in a little bit more of a complex way. All right, next one is a true or false. As an ISU student, you can access paywalled articles the library owns in your Google Scholar search results. You can link your Google Scholar account with your ISU affiliation, and that will take you seamlessly into some of those paywalled articles in Google Scholar, because Google Scholar will give you open things and paywalled things. But generally, if you link your account in Google Scholar with your ISU account, instead of just seeing something blank on the side, where it's a paywalled item, you might see a Get It at ISU, and you can click on that, and that'll take you through all those paywalls to your source. So we went over lots of different places to find information, and all of these places have different strengths and weaknesses. And these were some of the strengths that we outlined for Google Scholar and some of the weaknesses. So some of the weaknesses include things like not being able to sort or filter by certain things that you can in, say, a quick search. My mouse disappeared, sorry. Where'd it go? There it is. So along with not being able to filter or sort, the options for focusing or filtering or sorting your searches are just not as robust as other locations that you can search. It will also find you other things that you're not asking for, even though you tell it you're only interested in journal articles. And it lists some older ones before newer ones. But there are lots of pluses to Google Scholar as well. Their little Cited By tool helps you find highly cited scholarly materials and helps you with that citation chaining, which we're going to elaborate on in Module 3. Like I mentioned, you can link it to your ISU library account so that you have more access to the content on there and it's more seamless. And if you have some of a citation, it can be a good place to just throw that in there and see if you can find it really quickly. It's also pretty mobile friendly. All right, let's do the next one here, which is scholarly. True or false? Scholarly databases are great at finding popular sources of information. All right, now, while scholarly databases have a lot of pros and cons, one of the cons is that they are not great at finding popular sources of information. Our scholarly databases are going to be the location where we want to go to find the most peer-reviewed and scholarly items like chapters in anthologies or academic books, conference proceedings, and some of those other items that might not be part of what's available on the open web. The open web is great for the popular sources or that kind of armchair research that we talked about in Module 1. Our web search engines, we mentioned Google, we mentioned, I believe we mentioned DuckDuckGo in there, but these are all, anybody can use them. There's no paywalls to use them at all. And when you're finding things on these search engines, most of them are going to be things that anybody can make and put up. Even when you're looking at a domain like .edu or .org or .com, anybody can buy a .com domain. Anybody can buy a .org domain. Only educational institutions can use the .edu, but that doesn't mean that all the content that gets posted on there is vetted for its content or is accurate or true. Sometimes students and faculty are given hosted web pages on the .edu sites, and those can be just a blog. And so sometimes someone might not be checking all their information on the blog. So just because it's edu doesn't mean that you can trust it there. So Google Scholar is different than your open web search because it does generally limit it to just scholarly information. And it gives you some of those tools that you use with your scholarly searching, like citation chaining. You're not really going to use citation chaining with your popular resources because most popular resources don't include citations. Now, quick search is like the Google of the library. It will search our library catalog and a lot of our library databases. It's something called a federated search because it'll search multiple databases all at once, kind of like how Google can search multiple places all at once. But it won't search every single database that our library has access to, so you do sometimes need to go to that articles and databases page and look up subject-specific databases to search through, just in case Quick Search doesn't search through that database. Our articles and databases are these premium scholarly materials. They are the ones that you pay the big bucks for and the library pays the big bucks for on your behalf, and they're usually the ones that your instructors are asking you to find. These are the ones that have been vetted by experts in the field, and they show their work using those citations so that you can follow how these ideas progressed and what's being added to this idea in the current paper that you're looking at. These materials and these databases, because they're formatted a little bit different than our open web, also use different search strategies and different search techniques, which we went over a little bit in this module and we'll go over a lot of a bit in module 3. So our scholarly database strengths and weaknesses, strengths and weaknesses that we've outlined in here. Some of those weaknesses are some of the things that might kind of make them intimidating to you at first. The interfaces are not as intuitive as Google, and you have to use some of these search strategies like Boolean operators instead of your natural language like you could with Google Scholar or with Google. The subject-specific databases can get really specialized, and sometimes too much so. Sometimes you need to think, you need more general information or more background information. You don't need a deep dive, and that's when that open web can be more useful than some of these scholarly databases. And even though we have a database for it, we still might not have the full text to some of the articles within them. Sometimes we just have a citation listed for that database, or for the article within that database, but you can utilize different things like interlibrary loan to access those materials. However, the strengths far outweigh the weaknesses for these databases. They're going to be the search tool for finding those scholarly articles for your academic research. They'll have journals and conference publications, conference proceedings, things that might not be available for free on the open web. They tell you what's in their database. Google doesn't necessarily say, hey, here's all the websites we've indexed. But a database will say, hey, here's all the journals that we have, or here's all the things that we do have information for. It often links to full text articles, and it can cover lots and lots of subjects, both general and focused here. So an extensive set of journal articles. And you can get really customized and really fine-tuned with your searches. Unlike Google Scholar, where you were unable to say, no, I really don't want PowerPoints or certain things like dissertations. I just want peer-reviewed literature from this 5-year span. You can do that in these scholarly databases where you might not have that kind of granularity available to you in Google Scholar. Keeping with our library resources, we did try and teach you how to use the Library of Congress call number system. So here we have you looking for a book in our collection. It's in Parks Library and it's in Tier 4. So if these are the rows that you're presented with on these two bookshelves, where is your book going to be with this bolded call number? Which range is it going to fall under here? Library of Congress call numbers are just a little difficult. So when we talked about these in the module, some of the advice we gave you is to start at the beginning and chunk these things up, because you treat different parts of this number differently. So for example, you go alphabetically for QL, which is easy because we've got 2 letters in all of these. So alphabetically, QK and QL. Okay, QL means it's going to be in one of these rows because they all have QL. So then we have to go to the next part. If you remember, this first number is treated as a whole number, so 82. So if we look over here and think about this range here going from QL 0 to QL 184, then we know now we're getting closer to our answer here, which is our answer. It's row 1. That's as far as we needed to go into this one. But if we needed to keep going farther, we can keep going through this number here. But because we see QL and 184 comes after 182, 82 is before that, it falls within the range of 0 to 184. We know that row 1 is going to be our answer. We've got a few more of these practice ones for you because this will be on your quiz. There are definitely going to be questions just like this one on your quiz. So if you need more practice on this one, we do have more interactives as well on our module. Let's try the next one. I don't remember if no, okay, we'll go back. Okay. So the hardest part when you're looking at our questions like the one we just saw and the one that you're going to see on your quiz is finding out where within that range you need to be. When you're actually trying to find the book in person, it gets a little more complicated because you do need to remember that Parks has something called tiers, which are like half floors, and we have floors. So you need to pay attention to where that book is. Is it on a tier or is it on the floor? And what collection is it in? Is it in the general collection or special collections in university archives? Is it in the storage library area? Because if it is, you're going to have to request that one. You can't actually get to it. So let's take another practice. We'll go a little bit more into it, I guess, here. So when you do want to find it in person, you have to click that locate button and then again alphabetically say, okay, where's my range? And then there's the floor or the tier. It'd say tier here if it was on the tier. And then you can click on that link there and it will take you to a nice map of the floor, and the floor includes the tiers. So if it had said it's in tier 4, you know you need to go over here into tier 4 and not over here because these are the call number ranges for this floor, not for the tier. So I'm sure that's clear as mud. Let's try another one here. All right, so now you're looking for QL 927, and it's in tier 4. Which one of these rows is your book going to be in? So this one, let me get my mouse back here again. There we go. Let's take a look at this here from the beginning again, like we said. QL. So all of these again have some QL. Not helpful. How about 927? So this one only goes to 184. That's not far enough. This one goes to 289. That's not far enough. 386. Nope. And 821. Nope. So it's not going to be on any of these shelves. We have to check a different one because all of these numbers are too small for this call number. Let's try another one. So in this scenario, you've already found, oh, sorry, I got to change my question here on Socrative. You've already found the correct shelf, so where's the book itself going to be? If you're on the right shelf and you're looking for this call number, where is it going to be in these books? Oh, look at that, y'all. You got it just perfect. All right, let's go through this. So, HM. Well, we know this is HM. We're on the right row. Now we need 743. We see 743 on all of these, so again, we need to go one more down. We're going to go alphabetically again by R. So, F, F, here's an R. So it's probably, now we have to go to the number and see, is it going to be before this R or after this R? And if you remember, Library of Congress is silly, and they say this second number is a decimal, even though there's no decimal point here. So, my mouse again, it keeps disappearing on me. There we go. So this is actually 0.447. And even though it looks bigger than 0.55, if you remember how to order your decimals, 0.4 is going to be smaller than a 0.5. So your answer is going to be that it might be between book 2 and book 3. We'd have to pull these books out and see which one of them it would be, because it's going to come before 0.55. So well done on that. Everybody got that one right. Let's do another one. One more. Let me change that over. All right. So now you're looking for this call number. Where will it be in this book range? So close. All right. Most of you got this one. Let's take a look again. So we know that we're in the right row, so the BL is not going to be very helpful here because they're all BL. This is 2,747. And we've got a lot of 2,747s here, so let's take it a little bit farther. Remember that you can think of this as 2,747.0. You can think of that invisible 0 here. And 0 will come before 3. So that is why somewhere before book 1 is our correct answer. And this is just the joy of Library of Congress call numbers. So if you're still struggling with this, reach out to your instructor, try some of those additional tutorials that we have in our interactive area of this module, or feel free to email me too. Any of those options is available to you. If I can get my mouse back. There we go. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to take a look at, okay, you found your item, you found your book, or you've found the source that you're looking for in the database. How do you tell features about that source? How do you know who the author is, what the title is, where it's been, what it is in, like what journal it's in, or what book it's in? So looking at this item record, that's what we call these, the item record. What's the title of the journal? Boom, y'all got it. Now in this case, they give you a little hint because it says the American Journal of Medicine. But in general, when you're looking at an item record, the title of whatever it's in is typically underneath the author's name, if it's listed like this. So for this case, Brian Becker is our author, and this is the publication title. And then this is more information about which volume and issue and what pages this particular article is on. Oh, sorry, that's a little fuzzy. So sometimes in your search results, you'll see item records looking like this. And within that item record, especially within Quick Search here, you're going to see that you've got multiple places, multiple databases that you could access this item within our collection. And so under availability, you'll see all these different databases listed. If you're not seeing anything in this availability area, or you're seeing a link to interlibrary loan, then we don't have full text access to that item. All right, so for this item, what kind of source is this? Like, is it a journal article, conference proceeding? What's the information format for this item record? Boom, you got it. So again, proceedings of the ... International Florida Artificial Intelligence Research Society conference. Wow, is that a mouthful? Yes, it is a conference proceeding. And conference proceedings may tell you directly proceedings. Sometimes they're all also called like a symposium instead of a conference, or I think they also call it like the annals of such and what. But something like that is always going to be an indication of a conference proceeding instead of, say, a journal. Well done on that, everyone. When we're looking at our records in Quick Search, like I mentioned, they typically all follow the same format. They say, here's the item's format, here's the item's title, whether it's an article or a book. Below that's going to be your author information. And then below that, if it wasn't a book, it would say the journal that it's published in. And then we've got things about its availability. So is it available at parks? And in this case, are there multiple versions of this? So maybe there's a book and an ebook, or a book and a video recording. In any case, this is going to be one of those things that you can filter and sort your search results or refine those search results using Quick Search that you wouldn't have the option to do with, say, Google Scholar, since Google Scholar tends to do only articles, and even if it does pull in books and other items, there's no real way to sort through that and only get articles or only get books. So it's we try to make it easy for you. If it is available, it'll say it. And if it's not available or there's something blank here, it just keeps pushing you towards interlibrary loan, then we do not have the full text available for that, or we do not own that book. Doesn't mean you can't get it, just means it might take a little bit longer for you to get it. So this is our advanced search for Quick Search. We also talked to you about the advanced search capabilities of just plain old Google and DuckDuckGo and some of those other search engines. And if you didn't try the search challenge, I highly recommend it, because even I found that a little challenging. The advanced search area here, though, and really the advanced search of any search engine, is going to be one of those pluses and minuses, because it's a plus that you have all these ways to limit your search and refine your results before you even do your search, but it's also a minus in that it's a little intimidating. And if you get something wrong here and accidentally put an or an and in the wrong place, you might get absolutely no results, or you might get way too many irrelevant results. So you really have to practice using this and try and try and try multiple iterations to hone your search and really find exactly what you're looking for. So you will have a good day and a good afternoon.